Hello. Good evening.
Hi, Sridhar. Good evening.
How are you?
Good. And how are you?
Good. All right. So looks like we are to the final eight or final four matchups for the NFL. And like in previous practices, we will pick two games each and then maybe comment on each other's picks as well, give like a few pointers. So I think why don't you start with your two, and then I'll wrap up my two.
Sounds good. So I picked two, both afternoon games. The first one I picked was Texans and Ravens. Texans are going to be traveling up to Baltimore. Houston is coming off of a big win against a very strong Cleveland defense, I might add. But you got to credit this to CJ Stroud and his offensive crew. And I should say, Cleveland's defense is only second to the Ravens. So, although the Texans are big underdogs, they should be up to the challenge. Now, on the other side, you have Lamar Jackson, the MVP candidate, with all his offensive weapons, in addition to just his own abilities to run the ball.
Hmm.
They're coming off of a bye week. They'll be rested, not rusted, right? So I think they're going to come pretty ready and pumped. Ravens' weakness seems to be in their run defense. I was kind of looking up some numbers, but I don't think they need to worry about the Texans on that front
Hmm.
because I don't think they have much going there. So Ravens are the team to beat, not just in the AFC, but I would say in the entire league. It's hard to see Texans winning this one, but a 9 point spread doesn't give Texans enough credit for what they have done. I see them keeping it closer and losing 27-20 to the Ravens.
Hmm. That's good. I mean, so you're basically calling for the Ravens to win, but not covering the spread.
Yeah. And let's see. The next one I picked was Bucks and going up to Detroit. Bucks played hell of a game, beating the Eagles handily. The highlight to me actually was the constant blitzing and repeatedly like catching Jalen Hurts and the Eagles' offensive line flat-footed. That was something to watch. Baker Mayfield, of course, has been very effective, but given the Bucks' running game, which doesn't seem that potent, if Jared Goff and Lions start putting up points quickly, Baker will have to play a lot of catch up, and I'm not sure that's something he's going to be able to handle. Now, Lions, on the other hand, they have a solid running game. So if you think about all this blitzing, you know, if that happens, there won't be a whole lot of pressure on Jared if they can get the running game going. So I would say on balance, Lions have a lot going for them. Their key is going to be, like Bill Belichick used to say, simply execute, right? And
Mhm.
I think they'll win the game if they do that. I can see them cover the 6 point spread, and I think they can go even further, honestly, and stop the Bucks' progress in the playoffs with a comfortable 30-16 win.
Hmm. Okay, interesting. I mean, the picks are interesting. I would have gone the same way. There is a couple things I'll comment on your first game, which is the Ravens and Texans. I think the Texans are definitely right now they're playing with house money, right? I mean they're not expected to win. Um, and let's see if and Baltimore has probably got one of the best. I mean, I think their run defense is a little suspect, but I do think they're on their back end. Their secondary is very good. Um, and I do know that the thing they were saying from an offensive standpoint, the Ravens, Mark Andrews could be back. I think he practiced, but he's still listed as questionable. So that's another additional weapon
Yeah.
Lamar is going to get. Um, so I agree with your thing. I think thing on the Ravens. Um,
So you think Ravens might score a little more than 27?
I don't. I think no. I think CJ Stroud will keep it close. I still think he's been making some great plays. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he throws for 300 yards, but I still think it could be a very close game. Ravens pulling away. Um,
Mm.
but I don't think they'll cover the spread. But I agree with your thing. And then with the Lions, the one thing the Lions, if there's one weakness that they do have, and I actually was looking at some of the games that they played in their own division, which is the Packers came and beat the Lions. Their
Mm.
secondary is very suspect. Now, one thing about Baker Mayfield and the Bucs offense is that they've actually established with Mike Evans, even though with Mike Evans dropped a couple of passes, but Chris Godwin and then Kate Otten, their tight end, they are
Mm.
actually racking up big numbers. I mean, they just completely demolished the Eagles, and
Yeah.
but they're like a Jekyll and Hyde kind of team to me, and um, they to keep up with the Lions. Lions, like you said, they have too many weapons. I mean, Jameer Gibbs,
Yeah.
and then Goff is playing well. I think he's playing with a chip on his shoulder. Even listening to
Yeah.
the post game comments, and I think he's definitely. I love Dan Campbell as the coach, and I think the defense will come through. I agree with your thing on the Lions winning that as well. So let me come to mine and then comment on mine as well. So I think um, the first game is the Packers on Saturday. I think the Packers going all the way to the 49ers. Now, again, same thing, like just like the humans, the Texans, conventional wisdom dictates that Packers should go and lose to the 49ers. However,
Mm.
what the Packers did to the Cowboys, that was just incredible. It was almost unreal to watch the way Dallas just folded. I mean, it was not even a competition. It was 27-7 at the halftime. And I think Jordan Love, I think seems like Green Bay would have found their quarterback finally. And, Romeo
Actually,
Dobbs,
very smooth and very clean.
it was almost too clean, right? That's where I when they're going all the way to 49ers, and the 49ers have an excellent defense. And even
Mm.
from their offensive standpoint, I think Kyle Shanahan will come up with some kind of a scheme um, to keep the Packers defense. And the Packers, like I said, I mean, when we were talking last time and I picked the Cowboys, I did say that the Packers are not ready for prime time. I said they're a very young team, and I think this is not their year. But well, what do I know? But um, I have a feeling that the Packers will keep it close, but I do think the 49ers will pull away and cover this. I think the spread is I think it's close to 9-2, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're going to win by 10, I think. I call it 31-21, I think, for the 49ers over the Packers. What do you think before I jump to the Bills and
So
Chiefs?
yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it's just Jordan Love looked so good. I mean, if with that type, if they can just stick with that, and with a little bit of luck, I think they can do it. They have a good defense, right? Packers do. So I think it's the only thing that I can see that will throw them off is McCaffrey and the run game.
Yep, yep.
And if Kyle plays that well, I think he could just single-handedly take the game away from them. So it'll be very interesting to watch how they play.
Yeah, interesting stat line here. Um, if the Packers win against the 49ers, the Packers will have sole possession of the total number of playoff wins over the Patriots to 38. Interesting.
Mhm.
And if the 49ers win, the 49ers will tie the Green Bay Packers and the Patriots with 37 wins. And the
Wow.
another stat was Green Bay and 49ers, I think they've played each other 9 times, which is apparently the most two teams have played in the playoffs. I'll have to check that, but I think I saw that. All right, let's come to the last game, which is the Chiefs and Bills. I was so conflicted picking this game, and
Yeah,
I'll tell you
me
why.
too.
I'll explain my reasons, and then you can, you know, I think the Bills have beaten the Chiefs in the regular season. The Chiefs um, somehow find a way to win in the playoffs. And I think that worries me a lot, even though this is the first time Patrick Mahomes will be going to Orchard Park. In fact, this is the first road game for Patrick Mahomes in his young career, it was just unbelievable, right?
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
so Bills, one thing that worries me when they played the Steelers was that Mason Rudolph was able to, I mean, they kept the game very close
Yeah.
until the Bills pulled away. So the Bills secondary has been banged up a little bit. And I think Mahomes, the offense is starting to click. I mean, one of the concerns that, uh, folks had in the regular season was the defense, the Chiefs defense was keeping them in the game, and it was almost like a band-aid approach that they had on offense. But Rice coming through well, Pacheco, like you always, I think he's one of your favorite players, I think. And then Kelsey played pretty well. And and Mahomes, and it's Mahomes, right? Mahomes is healthy and he's big time player when it comes to the playoffs. But I mean, this is Bill's one chance that they have. That they have to beat at home. They're playing at home and they could win. This is something akin to what Peyton Manning and Brady went through. Early part of the
Mm.
year, they say Brady was beating Peyton Manning, but then at some point, they not only they Manning beat him in the when he was playing for Indy, but he also beat him when he was playing for Denver. So this could be the tide, the game that turns the tide a little bit in Josh's favor. Josh is playing really well. I think the running game actually came through last week, but
Well, Josh had 52 yards himself on that.
that is true. That is true. So I think, again, conventional wisdom says Chiefs, but I'm going to go against it, and I'm going to pick the Bills.
Wow.
I think it's big by 3 points. And coming down to a field goal in the fourth quarter, it's going to be a 27-24 game for the Bills. And I'll stop and then I'll pause here and you can comment.
Wow. I didn't think you were heading up for that. You built it up quite nicely in favor of the Chiefs. Look, I mean, all the things you said. Mahomes, look, even though he's doing his first road game in the playoffs, all season long, actually his record on the road is pretty good.
Yep,
So,
that's true.
I mean, the guy is battle tested, right? And then you
Yeah.
bring him into the playoffs. You talked about Rashid Rice. Their defense played very well against Miami. Even though, like, I don't know, sometimes I'm like, I don't understand what Miami showed up. But regardless, I would say they actually, on paper, you may say Bills have better offense, but there's this thing where when it comes to crunch time, their ability to pull it off is not there. And
Mm.
I'm going to actually say the Chiefs will likely win. And I'm going to even go as far as saying they will win by at least a full touchdown. So, what exactly the score is, it's probably in the 20s, like you said. But I actually see the Chiefs kind of building up a lead and managing to stave the Bills off.
I mean, like I said, I don't, like I said, I'm going with like so this is a thing where you say, do you go with the heart or do you go with the money kind of thing, right? If you
Yeah.
ask me to put money on it, I would say the Chiefs. But my heart is rooting for Bills. Even though being a Patriots fan, I'm rooting for my rival. But for some reason, I do happen to like Josh Allen. And
Oh, I like him too. It's
yeah,
just, I look at the things he had to do last week, including his 52-yard run for a touchdown. And, I look around and I'm like, the other parts of the offense weren't quite as prolific as you would think
yep,
they look like on
yep,
paper.
yep. Interesting, interesting. I think it's good to watch these. These are very four good games. I was just looking at one more thing, right? I mean, when you looked at Lamar Jackson MVP, Brock Purdy was in the MVP conversation. two games on Saturday. And then
Yeah.
come Sunday, you're actually going to see two quarterbacks who went to the Super Bowl, one who won it, Mahomes, one who
Yeah.
lost it, Goff, and
Yeah.
then um, a team that won the Super Bowl, which is Tampa, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
at Ravens, no, not Ravens, and I think and the Bills, who have been to the Super Bowl but have not tasted success there. So it's very interesting. I think, like you said, I think you said you made a comment sometime. This has been one of the most unpredictable NFL seasons, and I think it has come down. I think, to be honest, I think these are the best eight teams that are left out there to me, and I believe that, and I think I mean, of course, the Cowboys and Eagles played well, but they didn't show up. So I think it's going to be
Yeah.
interesting. I think so.
I think so. Let's enjoy the game and
Yep.
compare our prediction notes.
All right. Thanks, Satish. Appreciate it.
All right.
Good night.
Bye.